Yeah, now we are, of course, finding ourselves in the first game, in the draft, actually. So washed up, going up against the last dance in the lower bracket here. Best of 3 series, and our first map, as Tetcher pointed out, is all direct pass. When it comes to the ban pattern over here, we have a couple of familiar heroes making an appearance very early on. That's Urel and Imperius in particular. Both of them have been high priority picks, not only in this particular tournament, in the first day of the monthly final, but also, of course, in the weeklies. And especially for Last Dance, both of those were incredibly powerful. Together with that, we have Cassia, who really shot up in priority. She gets banned out too. And we have, of course, Breeze's, or one of his best heroes, maybe not his best, but definitely one of the top picks for him, banned as well. No ETC in this case. And yeah, that kicks us off with the first pick for Washed Up.
The Greymane comes in. Probably the top assassin right now, outside of maybe Cassia. Fits into basically every draft because of the burst. But we see the favorites of the Last Dance coming in here. They had a couple options there, maybe the Li Ming Ana, but they're going to lean instead on what they've been playing so well throughout yesterday's Cups. We had Malfurion and Tracer, and it was incredibly solid. So they're just going to lean back on that once more.
Yeah, and Poik has actually absolutely murdered with his Tracer. So this is another one of those games where he can definitely show his skills against an even stronger team than what they faced off so far. Now, we got an Abathur, finally. That's actually a pick that we've been looking for quite a time now. And we had him banned out once, but outside of that, mostly ignored. So Abathur in play, and we get Tyrael together with it. That's an insane setup already as is. Question is, of course, now immediately, will Rhaegar be banned? Is that the support that they also get? We've been talking a lot about Greymane plus Tyrael plus Rhaegar, an incredibly combo in any team fight with the Sanctification and Bloodlust. If you add an Abathur to that equation, then all of a sudden you're also talking, of course, about the copy on Greymane, about the symbiote here. So definitely a scary setup. But it gets the ban on Lucio on a big map. Definitely allows you to make quick rotations, but that leaves Rhaegar open. So potential pick here for Washed Up.
It's unlikely to be stolen away by the Last Dance. Double support has already fallen off, at least in this particular style. Malfurion and Rhaegar is not a support combo you'd expect to see, although Bloodlusted Malfurion does sound hilarious. But I completely agree with you here. What's more scary than one Greymane rushing you down in a Sanctification, two Greymanes rushing you down in a Sanctification with that bonus attack and ability power that the Abathur Ultimate Evolution offers? As the Last Dance, they now need their front line, they need some off lane, and a second damage dealer. And more importantly, they probably are going to want some disengage. Once again, we already have Malfurion, which means we don't have Stukov or Deckard, meaning heroes that are going to allow them to escape a Bloodless composition are a little lax. They're going to go for the Phoenix here, which is another very solid auto-attack hero and someone who can escape very easily, and Johanna as their main tank, which means their disengage is now mostly dependent on whoever their offlaner is, whether Wubby's playing.
It's interesting for me to see Phoenix picked here, especially with Chris. We've seen him so many times now, and Falstad in particular, especially against compositions that could theoretically go into a Rhaegar pick, but we have more aggression. With Abathur in play, you can now make a move into Kerosene because of the auto attack speed, for example, and the chase potential that you have with it, so you can hunt targets down. Phoenix has at least an additional escape with the warp out that helps him a bit on that end, so that's great for him. Of course, Johanna has those blinds, but you can really tell that just because a team has a blind doesn't automatically mean you can't go into an auto attack. I mean, they literally pick Kerosene into Johanna because they're saying, well, she has it on a cooldown, she can't blind everyone over here, so you have to play around it. And the Vikings! Awesome! The perfect final pick here. I am more than a little bit happy to see that. This is going to be 6-0. This is going to be a fantastic game. Aldrich Pass kicking us off into a fantastic best of 3 series in the lower bracket. Lower bracket final. So we are in the losers bracket, ladies and gentlemen. And what we've seen so many times now in the grand final is once again the pairing between Last Dance and Washed Up. And we got the Vikings and we got Abathur. So not only do we have the little slugger in play, but we also get for the first time to see the Vikings here starting things off with the explosive attack for Balog immediately. So a bit of a focus on the wave clear for him, which on a big map like this makes a whole lot of sense. Wubby is immediately splitting the Vikings onto 3 lanes, which will allow the 4-man to go for very strong rotations and trying to push lanes down while the Vikings soak the experience. So it opens up a completely different playstyle for the team in red now that they have the Vikings as part of their setup.
Nick just getting healed up by Abathur. You can see the double Viking top lane for the soak here. Olaf has that standard health regeneration, which means he can actually hold a lane safer than any of the other Vikings because he can always just back up and will regen a lot faster. Whereas Eric and Balog, boy, gets punched in the face. The classic Karazim versus Tracer matchup. But Eric and Balog, they don't have as solid a health regen as Olaf does, meaning that they are forced to sit together. As they're both ranged, they're going to be able to clean the lane a little bit better, but they have to do it a little safer in terms of positioning.
Yeah, so what you usually do with the Vikings is you have a 2-lane split for the Vikings. You don't really try and soak 3 lanes. You always take 2. The 4-man takes the remaining 1. And if they shift position, then the Vikings have to shift with them. There's also a little bit of a wrong impression that if you are playing a Viking setup, you will take a lead very early on in the game. That is absolutely wrong unless your opponent doesn't know what they're doing at all. It's more so the mid and late game where the Vikings all of a sudden can really dominate through that global setup when the rest of the team is usually fighting in 4 versus 4s, 5 versus 4s, for example. So you have to adjust your playstyle quite a bit, especially when you're going up against a team that is situated as is washed up right now, since for them, team fights after level 10 are going to be way more important, since everything just hinges on that Abathar, Greymane, and also, of course, the combo with the Sanctification on top of that. It's a really cool clash of strategies that we're seeing here, and the early levels will tell us a lot of how this is going to go, since with Vikings, you're trying to dominate early on against this Abathar setup as well.
Banana Rage forced back, point takes a little bit of damage from Nick, but trades out easily as level 4 is hit. We're seeing full rapid fire build for Chris. This might put him into the reset on level 7 for massive hard engage and chase down potential, which can be really solid. Wobby needs to move Olaf. He will survive most likely here. Build-wise, the Vikings have gone for explosive attacks, so it's split push, wave clear build, and the annoying Eric talent. Eric the Swift, extra move speed, and health regen, making him nearly impossible to kill from anyone without mobility increases.
Yeah, for simple wave clear, this is exactly what you want to see. The problem, of course, with having Vikings on the lanes is that they normally can't really handle a good hero that has wave clear. You can see that the top lane where Quasar with his Blaze was able to already push the wall down, and that's just the issue of Wubi not being able to push this lane out properly in threatening Blaze. So this is something in the early game where the blue team can capitalize on it a little bit, but therefore the Vikings, especially later on, will give a lot of value on a global level, soaking the experience. And to be honest, they have also really good teamfight potential. You pointed in the draft out that you can also soak a potential transgression pick on Karazim, the 7-sided stride, if you move the extra bodies in. That's obviously true too. So there's a lot of things that the Vikings can provide, even in a big teamfight.
The Vikings are going to be targeted down, though, as we see Abathar, instead of going for the Adrenal Overload for Karazim and Greymane's potential, he's instead gone for Needle Spine, the burst damage, which is going to synergize very well with this Karazim Greymane hard burst single target strategy that Washed Up are going for, and is going to, well, pick off Vikings very effectively. And now we have Mule, the more macro pickup. It's the best talent on level 7, here to try and deal with that Viking split push that we see from Balog, as Wobby is, well, going to play Annoying Eric.
Yeah, they stopped the camp for now, so that was actually important that you delay that for as long as you can. You're trying to soak until level 10, but this is one of those situations that we've been talking about earlier, because now there's slowly but steadily a leading experience that will build up for the team in red. Xayah nearly going down here, but we have a 4 versus 4 technically here in the middle, as Abathar is attempting to soak top and bot lane through his body and through the symbiote. But the first victim in this game is Tyrael, so he goes down, and that's an early kill for our team in red for Last Dance, as they're still soaking 2 lanes, and Abathar has a lot of problems trying to match that.
Bobby begins to channel in with Eric, too fast, too furious, but he is being denied and harassed pretty effectively. He's just going to try and turn onto Banana Rage, who is forced onto the Pulse Bomb, but has to dash away to a minion here. By the way, Chris going for Divert Power to Weapons, not going to go for that full reset style that would allow him to just chase down people, but does give him a little more immediate teamfight potential as opposed to relying on getting kills early.
Yeah, so far no objective picked up yet, but you can tell that on experience the lead is now starting to get a little bit bigger for Last Dance, and that could mean an early level 10. And that usually gives you the control that you need to take the objective and then push with the first raiders here. So camps are taken. This is of course the important part on this map. Outside of the bosses that spawn at 5 minutes, you have only 1 camp in the middle, and this has to be taken pretty much every time it's off cooldown. because it's a really important camp here, and it's how Last Dance in particular already got a lead several times when they played this map in the past yet, Method Mayhem.
10-second difference between the two objectives right now, as it hasn't been started by Washed Up yet. Eric's trying to channel in, but it's being denied beautifully by Dequaza, who's making the most of his oil. Masquerade also positioned very well. He does not want to go in this time, though, and as such, the channel will begin anew. Beginning to make its way over halfway through.
Yeah, now we got the level 10 in any second for the blue team as well. The question is really, are they willing to commit to this right away with only 8 seconds on the time? And it seems like they do. They're looking for the kill now. Minions are moving in. Whoopi is stopping that as much as he can. Gets the aggro. There's the setup against Breeze, though, as they're hoping for the kill. The salvo comes out from Chris. Sanctification to counter it out. They're still going for Breeze. The oil slows him down even more. Johanna in trouble, and there's the kill as Greymane comes in and rips him apart. Goes for the throat. Chris barely able to move out. And they're trying to go for Eric now as well. But the objective, of course, has been successfully channeled through now for Last Dance.
Eric unable to escape the bound by law from the Tyrael, actually able to slow Eric the Swift down enough to pick him off. The two heroes of Blink escape. Johanna not so lucky. The incredible rush down that Washed Up have on their side, able to pick up those kills. They have those level 10s, as we say, and now moving into the defensive position. Abatha, a little bit outnumbered in the bot lane, as there is a Olaf down here as well. But again, all damage, as long as the forts survive, Mule will be able to repair most of that damage.
Big push through the middle for now. At the bottom of the map, still our 1 versus 1 setup with the new habits now even completed for Dequaza. Palm comes in, so 7-sided strike is in this case not even chosen for the reasons mentioned earlier. The Vikings can just soak up too much of the damage once it comes in. So instead we have the Palm this time connecting. Talking about connecting, Blessed Shield connects as well. The Root as a follow-up. Palm comes out but doesn't get triggered. Nick survives though, no kill for Last Dance, but an aggressive setup from them for sure, and they are about to take that fort down, even with the Vikings falling, 2 of them eliminated.
Play stun comes out, not enough follow-up though, as Nick is on half health, doesn't want to take it. Poik just going to continue to do Tracer things, going to chase Masquerade all the way back. This fort will almost certainly die. Pulse Bomb blocked by the shield, nicely done. Poik was looking for the final kill, unable to get it, but they do get that fort. Other 2 lanes defended very well by Washed Up, but that's still solid value for the first objective by the Last Dance.
Yeah, it's going to be important for Washed Up to try and focus fights, like force them really. And that's possible around bosses, that's possible around additional objectives, because from the red team, if you play with Vikings, you have to really play a certain style. You need to make sure that you have a proper 4-man that can really do a whole lot of work with only 4 without having the assistance of the 5th hero, in this case the Vikings. But you also want to have a team that is able to stall as much as possible. And the more you can stall, the more value the Vikings are going to get in the long run. And now we are seeing them move in for the boss up at the top side. The blue team is doing the same play at the bottom of the map, but there's of course still the Vikings on the map as well, who are still soaking as much as they can. So there's no experience that's really lost for Last Dance here, as both teams are just going for the boss. Even a little bit of scouting going on from Wooby sends Balog down, but at least top side we have Olaf falling.
Quicksilver coming in for Karazim here. Movement speed, allowing Greymane to chase even more effectively. They'll combine with the cleanse later on, as he already has blinding speed, multiple dashes, multiple cleanses, multiple speed boosts. Greymane is going to be basically impossible to escape from at this point. With bosses pushing in both lanes, we immediately see the reaction from the Last Dance, more effective here. They send more members down, as Greymane is going to be able to clean this up by himself, while the rest of his team starts on the objective.
This is actually one of the of small nuances that could become important later on in the game. If you are saving the fort now and can then mule it up to 100% HP again, then that gives you a lead if we are seeing more and more boss exchanges. Because on this map, and let's say on Cursed Hollow, we oftentimes have a situation where teams are continuously taking their boss on the map and then eventually try to push for a keep. With the mule now putting into play at the top, it will mean that the fort eventually is going to be healed up again. So if another boss is taken and has to go through that, that's a little bit of a slowdown on the lane push. And that could give towards the end of the game an advantage to Washed Up if they want to make a play for keep or even core, especially since they are running a setup that also relies on Sanctification plus a potential double Greymane with the copy on Avatar. So that's a lot of potential to take a core down and win a race against the opponent. Definitely something that Last Dance has to consider here when they're making their decisions.
Yeah, so many less resources were burned by Washed Up for that defense, so that mule gonna heal everything up, like you say. Last Dance now have to keep their eyes on for everything because they are a fort. They have lost their fort. Fort count evened up as Breeze chased off by Dayquaza. Even with that mule, though, and Greymane clearing that boss, that's not stopping Balog from bullying top lane with that level 1 talent. As we see a sneaky Wubby channel gonna set up in that on that left-hand side, and that's gonna give space for Poik to cancel the channel on the side of the Last Dance.
That's pretty much it even right now, but we have the level 16 talent ready, and that means large and in charge, of course. So now there's even more team fight potential for the Vikings, and they can really wreck someone. It was always like this kind of a meme that if you, for example, have a reset hero like Li Ming against the Vikings, that this is a total disaster and a draft victory. And multiple Vikings players have proven that to be completely wrong. Because once you have Large and in charge, if you play around your jump on level 13 and the Large and in charge, you can chase any hero on the other side down with success and deny kills to burst damage dealers like Li Ming or others. So even with the setup that we're seeing for Washed Up, they have to be careful that those two talents are not going to be brought into play once the Vikings commit to the battle.
That falls to back up, though. Like you say, jump has to be used. Remember, Go for the Throat is active here, so Greymane could go for reset. He doesn't use it on the Viking, keeping it safe for now. But with Olaf down, that's a big start as they look for Tracer. Not able to get it. Salvo's going to come out, but Tyrael Shield will absorb most of that. Play again is dropped. All three Vikings are here. They were looking for that stun on Nick, but they're going to let it go because Zalian needs mana.
But that was exactly the example. What we was trying to do here was to get the Large and in charge in, going for the ult, and then really come through and catch someone on the rotation back. Now, topside has been pushed in, as you already mentioned, since Balog was able to push it out the entire time. But the Mule is still keeping that in play. And Mule is an insanely strong talent if you are able to save those structures. And so far, Washed Up has done a very, very good job at making that happen. Now, of course, at the same time, we have additional damage coming out of Karazim, who went into the way of 100 Fists. That's going to be super interesting, especially with that setup where Abathur can simply jump in with the Symbiote. There's a lot of speed that comes through, and he can start chasing targets down. Sanctification had to be dropped as Tracer comes in with the ult, and there's still the big battle for the next prisoner cam, this time towards the right side of the map.
Wave 100 Fists, another commitment to try and burst Tracer, who is the target. They're going to delete Phoenix here. Hasselhoff's on the clone of Nick. Here comes the bunker. And, well, they are able to get everyone inside and do solid damage to Poik, forcing him to back up. Wubby, in the meantime, is trying to be a nuisance with that Eric in the backline. Abathur has sent his body up to top lane to soak the XP because Baylor keeps pushing it in. But this channel looks like it may go through here. With Phoenix down, numbers are in Washed Up's favor, and they are holding the point.
Yeah, very annoying play here from the Vikings in particular. I mean, Whoopi is all over the place trying to just poke against them. But there it is, the cam taken. Very tough battle for Washed Up, but they were able to make it in the end. Now we have 14 minutes in, and this is the cavalry coming through with a real powerful setup. Top lane is still alive. Hazo's actually baiting Whoopi's Balog a little bit the entire time with a little slug, but he's muling that fort up, and it's pretty much his pet project over here. He's keeping it in play, and no problems thus far. But look what we're seeing at the bottom of the map. That's what we talked about earlier with these bosses and with the Tyrael plus Greymane setup. They want to try and take that keep down if they get a shot.
They're in that position to try and push with this cavalry. They have basically everyone here. Abathur can join at a moment's notice. Ultimate Evolution is off cooldown. And they're looking to try and take this. Already, though, cavalry getting kind of bodied here. The Tracer damage output combined with Phoenix is kind of roasting this. Boy, it goes a little deep, but he does survive. But that's the cavalry cleaned up. Nice defense there by the Last Dance.
Yeah, good defense by them, but of course the remaining cavalry in the middle and at the top has done some damage. Likely it's not going to lead to another fort falling, but all of them are starting to drop low. The fountain has also been destroyed in the middle of the map. And topside, with the help of Abathur, it might not fall now, but it's going to be close. At some point Abathur can just come in and slap that thing apart. So that shouldn't really be a problem with the symbiote for him to be pick up. I mean, this thing has 600 hit points right now. That's not really a lot.
No mule on that side. Nothing to do about that. They just have to defend that and hope Wubby can keep pushing on that Lost Vikings. Hasu matching him up here, keeping the pressure on, and Tyrael's just going to jump in and finish it. So there we go. No chance of defending that. Now Wubby has nowhere to retreat to with this Balog, which may mean we might see a couple more rotations to top lane to, well, pick up a couple more kills worth of experience and maybe creep towards that level 20, which is already available for the last dance, and that's a Fury of the Storm for the Vikings. That little extra 90 damage per Vikings on primary target, and that faster wave clear for Balog is a cheeky little talent pickup, which is going to make their wave clear even faster and give them a tiny bit of burst damage for team fights.
Also, a really interesting setup now, because we have the teams taking the opposite boss now, and that's mainly because Last Dance wants to take the one at the bottom. They are the ones that have a level 20. They had Balog down here already for quite some time, sorry, Olaf, because they needed to make sure, for reasons I pointed out earlier, that the bottom boss doesn't get taken over and over again by Washed Up. So with level 20 advantage, they rotated down, forced the bottom boss, but Washed Up actually realized that, went topside and took the counter boss, which in this case still walks towards the keep for them, because they were also able to take that fort down. So despite the fact that we have the Vikings here, with Abathur muling these forts up over and over again, this is still a very good position for Washed Up, as they're controlling the two boss lanes pretty well through those forts in place. The catapults are coming in, and now it's 20 versus 20. So it's pretty tricky on a big map like this to go up against the Vikings, but Washed Up is so far doing a very, very good job with it.
They're holding it very nicely. In terms of experience, Abathur has been doing a good job. He's on 19,000. Yes, the Vikings are on 31,000, but the fact that they're only about half a level behind really shouts to how well Washed Up have been playing this game around the incredible split push that Wobby has been offering. Looking at the level 20s of Washed Up here, we have that Peaceful Repose. No Storm Shield coming in for Karazim, just making sure he can get the saving play onto whoever needs it. Hive Mind for Abathur, really trying to keep that Grey Mane pushing forward. And Defense of the Angels for the Tyrael. Does not want to get killed off, but no Holy Arena commitment for extra damage. They feel they have enough.
I'm really, really impressed by how Washed Up is playing it, because it's not easy against this Viking setup on a map as big as this one. But they have been playing very, very calm and collected here, not making any mistakes that could be exploited. Now, of course, the size of the map is still a big invitation for the Vikings to push these lanes out and try to finally get some pressure going. But for that, the Vikings have to take these forts down so that they can escort catapults towards structures, and that's currently not the case. Bot lane gets muled up again, but Abathur is currently sitting in the middle of the map, and Balog is pushing out the bot side now.
They move forward. Breeze actually made a very cheeky attempt at an engage. Here comes the stun onto Phoenix. He has a Conquered Spirit. Doesn't need it yet, though. Chris teleports out. Here comes the salvo, and he picks off Tyrael. Tyrael, before he gets Sanctification, is taken out as they look for Dayquaza. He's right now using that offensive cadence to try and take down Blaze, but Blaze is able to retreat out of their speed boost from Banana Rage. With that Quicksilver, gets everyone out of danger. But a fantastic turnaround by the Last Dance, using the lockdown to prevent Sanctification and allow Chris to pick up that kill.
This is actually a really big problem that they just lost Tyrael here, so that is not really allowed to happen. Not with, first of all, the Holy Arena, or sorry, Sanctification online, the 20, and the Palm. That can't happen there. If you are in this spot, when you lose team fights in a 5 versus, I mean, it's pretty much a 5 versus 4 at this point, then it's just the beginning of the end. So now they're really struggling. At the bottom of the map, the fort is safe for now, and the mule has been deployed again. Dayquaza is holding it against Wubby's Balog, but this is really tricky, because we are 19 minutes into the game, and they can't really do anything anymore about the objective. They could try and force it, maybe delay it, but with only 10 seconds, it's unlikely to happen. If that objective gets taken, it would be a massive setback for Washed Up.
Johanna holds the line. In comes Dayquaza with almost no health. He's going to drop the bunker, and that's going to allow Banana Rage to channel this in. He will stop the channel going through, but the Sanctification allows him to turn it around and pick up Malfurion, meaning no more healing for Poik and no healing for Breeze as he's taken out. Here comes the Vikings, and there go the Vikings.
Clutch, really, really good play here. Continuously Banana Age, just channeling the camp, channeling the camp, channeling the camp, stopping it. It was so important, and they get 2 kills as Grey Mane pops off. So the coordination was finally there, and they barely make it happen. It's only 6 seconds left, but that was important. As I said, if they lose that objective, then they are losing a lot of structures, and that would open the map up for the Vikings, and in the long run, you would probably get wrecked by Wubby alone. So all of a sudden, they come in, they take those heroes down, especially the Malfurion kill was super important, and that gives them the momentum again that they need here. They need to win these teamfights, and that's exactly what they've been doing now. 6 kills against 2, so they are starting to dominate in the 5 versus 4 and 5 versus 5 battles, and that's the important part, because again, as we said at the beginning, at the draft already, the teams have very different strategies looking at this game now, and Washed Up have an opportunity to push in, maybe even wait out for the Sanctification and potentially go for keep or even core.
They've finally given themselves some freedom too, because with killing off Balog and Eric, there's no split push available anymore. So they don't have to worry about defending their lanes. Abathur can finally fully mule up that bot lane. They can put all their commitment onto this middle lane, or whatever lane they choose to push for keep, because they don't have to worry about losing one of those force, and Abathur can put all his attention onto picking up those kills and maybe turning this into keeps and maybe turning it into more.
And now, of course, the big opportunity here in the middle in particular. Masquerade is already sitting right there. Abathur can go for the copy, can go for the symbiote whenever need be. They have the cavalry pushing in, but a very, very quick focus coming out of Last Dance, and they take the one in the mid lane down super quickly. And now start to focus their attention a little bit more towards the top and the middle. Top side, Vikings are going for the defense down at the bottom of the map. Keep is getting attacked here. The red team looking for an opportunity to take those down as quickly as they can. But Nick, of course, just hoping to open up something so that they can get that kill and snowball it further. But again, the defense at the bot lane, and they're making it happen. They are able to keep the keep in play. Masquerade in trouble, and he goes down again, gets interrupted on the ult, and that's another opening kill for Last Dance.
Dayquaza trying to turn this round onto Chris, but Unconquered Spirit is available. Even if they get him, finally, Palm is landed. There's Unconquered Spirit as Nick is trying to kite the Vikings, who was able to teleport in as they cleaned out that top lane as Karazim is taken out. And Nick is in trouble here. He's going to get that little bit of a shield from Abathur. Abathur trying to ping away at Xaylia, but they're going to turn this into a boss. And once again, the Last Dance turning this back around. I don't know if you saw that, but Tyrael's ghost just got in the bunker.
The problem is honestly that this should have been at least one keep, and it's a bit of a disappointing result for Washed Up. And now that the boss at the bottom is taken, you can already see topside Vikings moving in to double check what's happening around the boss. If maybe Washed Up is trying to make a play with only 4 on the map, and they don't. So this is a potential double boss setup with now the prisoners also coming up on the map again. This is a really good setup now for Last Dance. This entire game has been great. I mean, it's the entire time just back and forth continuously.
As Wubby heads back up to clean out top lane, give them space. The wave clear of Washed Up is still absolutely incredible, which means again, with that defense, this fort, oh actually it's going to be close. This is a late game boss. It's actually doing some serious work, and Nick's not going to be able to save this time. Down it goes. And while the boss will be cleaned up, but finally a fort is achieved by the Last Dance, and with them grabbing this top boss as well, this might be a double fort play for them. But in the meantime, as you called it earlier, Washed Up make a play on the map, and they're just going to start the objective and keep the pressure on the Last Dance.
If they can get the objective here, that would actually be fantastic. This is really a decision that's a bit like, this is a tough decision to make, because you want to defend the top lane. That boss is going to do tons of damage if you don't send anybody up there. But then again, if you win the objective right now, you could potentially end the game. So there's a lot hinging on this.
Boig stuck in the oil, but he's still doing damage. He's safe. Stun from Eric. They are able to get the cleanse. Palm is not procced. Now they have to back up and wait for Dayquaza to be healed. Boss in top lane cleaned out the fort and is still going. And you can see just how much that damage onto Blaze is a big deal. Palm is already back off cooldown thanks to that peaceful repose. So they will have that save again, but that doesn't stop the fact that Blaze has to retreat, grab the fountain before they can go back in. Channel starts for the Last Dance.
Abathur is helping to defend the top against the boss a little bit. They're going to take the camp first, and then we'll focus on the prisoner camp. So we are 24 minutes into this already, and it's pretty common actually to have long games between evenly matched teams on All-Drag Pass, but it all comes down to the team fight and the kill again. Keep at the top side gets attacked, but if Abathur chips in a little bit, they should be able to hold this. It's gonna get close if he doesn't help out though, so that's a bit of a problem, and he needs the mule there too, or they're gonna lose that keep for sure. As it stands, 6 kills against 4, but if the keep falls, keep in mind what I said earlier. Once that those keeps are down, or even just forts, the Vikings have more wiggle room on the map and can escort catapults in. Or nulls in this case.
Speed boost comes out. Balog's made his way back up to top lane, so he's going to be able to keep pushing in that lane once the minion wave moves up, which means this keep is in danger. Like you said, Mule's already down though. We'll begin repairing as both teams are reset onto the map. We're just going to see the Last Dance go to soak mid lane. Casual 24-25 level game right now. As we see Washed Up trying to play aggressive once again. Stun from Wubby looking for Greymane. There's the sank though. Palm and Sank overlaps though. Feels bad as Nick is going to get caught by the salvo and surprise. Points wrapping around. But Masquerade is there. That will force the soda out as the clone expires.
Nanya has the palm back ready. Topside gets pressured by Belok though, and that's a problem because that keep is incredibly low. Abatha is already moving in, so Hazops is well aware of the threat. There's also more pressure coming through the middle, but it's not gonna really endanger that keep anytime soon. And now that they're channeling the prisoner camp again, it seems that Last Dance is gonna try to put a finish to it by simply winning that fight. They're going once again for Blaze. Bunk up is already through, but they're going for Chris. The stun is 20 procs, and he barely warps out. Once again, the refocus onto Blaze, but Quasar escapes. They're still fighting around it. 7 seconds left. They can't lose the objective here, but it seems like it's a done deal. Last Dance come in, and they lock the Raiders in for themselves. Nicely done. That's going to be a big push now against the blue team.
This has been every single fight so far that we've seen in the late game. 4 washed up, they hold, they defend, but by the time the fight is finished and all the abilities have been popped, they're on half hit points and the Last Dance are full. The healing of Malfurion has been too much to deal with for them. They don't seem to have the damage output to deal with it, even though they've built very damage focused, but they can't get anyone low enough for Greymane to finish off with that go for the throat, and now they are stuck defending against the cavalry. Eric has been sent to top lane to pile on the pressure and maybe take down that keep. It is already being pressured by minions. Good condemn by Breeze as bot lane is pressured. Chris looking for his opportunity to try it and drop someone low as they make their way in, looking for a double keep play as top has been taken out.
The Sanctifications, they're immediately trying to go for the kill against Breeze. Yeah, Breeze is in trouble and he falls, gets blown up by the blue team as they're headed for the defense, but the top keep has already fallen. The one at the bottom of the map is also destroyed, and the boss is getting attacked here. The core under pressure. Whoopi is moving in. They're trying to force them off. Mule is getting dropped too as the mid lane gets attacked as well, but everybody's starting to push in right now with the Raiders, and this is looking more and more like it could be game. The palm is triggered as Blaze survives the boss down to 7,000 HP, but Tracer gets ripped apart.
They lose all keeps, but they get the kills. They will defend the core. This Mule will get value. This is actually the worst possible map to Mule on, due to the fact that outside of maybe Towers of Doom in terms of core value, obviously it's good on the Bell Towers, but in this map, because the core moves, the Mule actually can lose value chasing the core to get heals off, and the core will heal up. But in this case, it does keep them alive. They are still in this game. Core will heal to full, especially fast, and they're finally going to get themselves a boss. And with that weakened keep in the bot lane, are they going to try and make a play to end the game? It's unlikely, because Tracer will be back in 24 seconds.
Yeah, they have to finish with this, and it's not going to be easy. They pretty much are forced to keep someone back to deal with the Vikings escorting more waves towards the core. Without any armor shields left, you can easily snipe it. Of course, having that self-regeneration on the core is neat.
Good
but
steal.
To be fair, there has to be taken at the bottom of the map. Like, if they don't end it now, the longer this game lasts, the more pressure will build up through the lanes alone. And if you don't have a keep any longer, you just don't have a chance there. But it seems like they're not going to push with it. They're forced bet for now.
They're just going to move out. They pick off Olaf. Wobby, Eric, no! Eric, no! Eric goes down as well. 2 Vikings dead, which, of course, isn't as big of a deal. Balog just revives all the Vikings, but that's now down for 100 seconds. Looks like Wubby may try to backdoor here while the rest of his team keeps the pressure on and clears out that boss. In the meantime, the objective's channeling, and Abatha Greymane is taking top boss.
Yeah, bot lane keep is down, so that equalizes a bit of the pressure. The problem is Whoopi is now coming in too, and he scouts all of this out. They find him immediately, but this could be the final fight here. Keep that Sanctification in mind. Balog is at least down. They still keep the aggro on the boss, and here comes the red team as they're starting to slowly move in. They want to let it leash, and they allow it. Nobody goes in to try and keep the aggro up.
They could have held it for one more. It had one more leash before it healed up, but they just burned that second leash and decided to let it go, and it heals up steadily. The objective channel has been cancelled. Bottom keep did die. That is going to be null pressure, but it's going to be equalized due to the fact that Washed Up have no keeps, and they're having to spend a lot of time clearing up. However, they have Abatha, potentially the best possible hero to have in this situation. He's cleaning up, soaking them experience, and Washed Up are moving, scouting the boss, because they know any boss right now is heading straight to core, and that could be potentially a game over in the favor of Last Dance. We're still in the first game of the series, and we're in a 30-minute game.
We have 142,000 damage for Greymane now and 134,000 for Tracer. It's absolutely incredible numbers they're getting put on. Siege damage for the Vikings is at 424,000. They're nearly at 500,000 at this point, as they're just pressuring lane after lane, especially, of course, with the Fury of the Storm.
Bunker was dropped. That's down for a minute, and as such, we see the retreat. They still have Sanctification. They burn Tranquility, though, which is solid value, but Mercenary Camp in the mid lane forces the reaction out of the last out of Washed Up. They pick off Eric, but play again's up. Baylog's in chilling in bot lane. They are still okay. Channel begins once again, and Washed Up, you can see there's no rush for them. It's more important right now that they de-push the lanes. They have plenty of time to make their way up here to defend this, and they even grab their own Mercenary Camp.
They had to. They needed to take the camp so that they relieve some of the pressure in the middle. The bot lane is not going to be a problem anytime soon. Abathur can deal with it to an extent. It's really the mid lane that was an issue. And of course, eventually top lane needs to be concerned as well. But we are on level 26 right now. 32 minutes in. And here comes again the aggression as they're looking for an opening. Nick needs to look for the kill here. Blessed Shield comes out. But so far, no damage. Breeze looking to set a kill up for the team. But they know that time works in their favor, so if they can just play around this a little bit, the top and the bot lane are going to push heavily, and Abathur will have to jump back to help out, and that means the Symbiote will be missing in the team fight.
Blaze charge interrupted by the root. They pull back. Here's the clone. They're pulling the trigger. Here's the salvo for the immediate turnaround as they move forward. Nick is in trouble. They drop the Sanctification to try and keep him alive. Chris escapes before Unconquered Spirit is active, so he's still alive as Hasu chases him down. And that's a solid disengage. Very nicely done by the Last Dance here, meaning Washed Up. They've blown the clone, meaning they don't have this for the defense. Dayquaza, though, looking to turn this. They pick up Wubby, but he is now in danger. Palm will force the retreat. Baylog, okay.
They're losing two. Keep now the top lane in mind, and the core is getting attacked. And again, this is a problem this late in. Of course, with the Symbiote, they can still defend this, but the team has to keep attention to the prisoner camp. Masquerade at the front, jumps in, jumps out. Symbiote coming through, helping. Abathur now focusing on the bottom of the map, where another big wave is starting to move in. He needs to pressure that out, but once that's done, there will be a bit more time for them. And of course, the boss, the core, is now getting 8 points back. But here comes the attack in the middle. And this could just be it. The palm is already through, but the bunker gets used. Last Dance can't get the kill. Washed Up still alive. They're able to hold on to the prisoner camp, but they're looking for the fight again. And Dayquaza's in trouble, gets palmed again. It doesn't proc. Good coordination.
Abathur can't hold. The core's gonna die. He's trying to hold it, but there's so many minions, Khaldor. He's desperately trying to hold, but Baylog is going to rush into backdoor. Baylog's going to end the game. There's just a couple minions, 1,000 health. He's going to run it down. Here comes Wubby with Eric and Breeze with Johanna to take game number 1.
Washed Up against the Last Dance, and we're on Dragonshire, our second map, first one. Coming down to the wire here with a 35-minute finish that we had. But the victor, of course, Last Dance. So Washed Up now needs to win 2 in a row if they want to make it through the rest of the tournament and end up in the grand final. But Last Dance, they're going to try to end it here and make this a quick 2-0 to not waste any more energy in the loser bracket than they have to.
The world's earliest pizza strat, trying to get everything out of the way so they can at least have a rest and finish before midnight. We will see, as Imperius is going to get banned out to start with. Might wait for the next ban. Quick shout-outs to M071104 for $25, to Cure Rare Disease, Locutus for $10. Great seeing top heroes play again. Grinlau for more hots in the world, $5. And the Carol Barrel, $20, and a fantastic name. Thank you all for your generosity as Yrel is taken out.
Yrel and Imperius, so 2 of the side laners that we saw in the previous map already banned, and for good reason, as we pointed out now several times. Imperius has these reliable stuns, and multi-stuns in particular, that can really ruin a team fight for the opponent in a big choke point in particular. And we have also the banner on Falstad. So this is particular against Chris, of course, but on the map, globals can really reign supreme. The interesting part is that we have so far not seen a ban against Rexa, who is usually considered to be the king of Dragonshire. in the side lane position. Doesn't quite offer as much as maybe that Urel and that Imperius in the teamfight setup, but especially for objective control, he is incredibly powerful. But he's let through today. So there is a chance that we're going to see Rexa on the map. Instead, we had Cassia banned out.
Cassia, another one of those incredibly deadly assassins. We already argued that her, Tassadar, and Greymane have been the dominant top heroes right now in terms of assassin play. So we're going to see that Rexa. You called it. It is the king. He is the king of Dragonshire. And Misha is the king of the Sunshrine. The queen of the Sunshrine, sorry, because she just lives there.
Exactly. Now, the beautiful thing with Rexa is that you can simply split the hero up onto 2 positions. It's also true for Braxis, but nobody really likes Braxis, so teams usually ban it out, so we don't see it a whole lot. Instead, we have Rexa on this map, normally showcasing how strong he can be if you split the attention between the lane and the objective, simply because he's one of the very few heroes that can hold experience on lane while also taking control of the shrine. Now, Poik again on Tracer, so immediately we have Last Dance committing again to the same backbone of that army that they played in the last game on our first map. Banana H again on Karazim, and we got Reyna in play. Okay, so they commit again to the Karazim performance here as the support.
Yep, double committing to the counter Tracer draft here. Reyna auto attacks to try and just track on her anytime she moves in, and Karazim that big burst with the Iron Fists. This is just the counter Tracer draft. They know it's scary, so they're actually committing their draft around it.
Alright, ban against Johanna this time. There's still a lot that is quite scary if you have the Tracer over here. We've seen, so for example, how Garrosh can really be a huge hero if any Warlord's challenge hits Tracer, if they can dominate a little bit, throw someone after her. So that's one pick that they could potentially go for still. But yeah, especially for Masquerade, he's not going to really have any problems on the tank side. But yeah, Johanna banned out for now. ETC gets also eliminated. So after we initially saw mostly offlaners taken away, and now looking at the tank lineup, that gets more and more diminished here. But with the willingness of ETC getting banned, you can really tell that even on the side of Washed Up, they're not in any danger. I'm not really afraid to say like, well, maybe we're going to run out of proper tanks to play here. So they know that with the pool that we currently have, they're not going to run into any problems.
Yeah, we already know these tank players especially are proficient on everything in the pool. So they're completely fine picking up heroes like the Tyrael here, which we're going to see for Breeze, more shielding for Tracer. It's a classic lineup. And Chris, he finally goes back to Cup number 1 and gets his hands on Tassadar again. It's been denied to him for quite a bit now, but he's finally going to pick that back up, and that gives them really solid burst from range, which can set up for nice little Tracer pickoffs on those backline members, because that Shockray is really long range.
Yeah, and also, of course, these shields for Tracer are going to allow Poik to do even more damage and be more aggressive. So it's the OG setup for this. But here comes the Diablo pick, and we get Carrigan together with it. So we had similar setups in the past against Tracers. Let's see if Nick can make it work here. His Carrigan is, of course, absolutely terrifying. Now it's even supported by Diablo, and Misha can supply an additional stun. Karazim can chase the target down. There should be a lot of space for Hazu on his Reyna to work with during this game. So really a powerful setup. And Tyrael, of course, is going to be hard-pressed to get those sanctifications through in time so that he can help the team out there. But we get Deathwing, Whoopi, playing the big boy Dragon on Dragonshire in an attempt to lock in that second victory for them. Also adds a bit of a global setup to them. So yeah, strong draft, but still a lot of problems on the other side. Stuns might not hit Deathwing, but still he can easily fall to what they are currently bringing to the table here. All right, so I love the Cerberus mount that we have for Breeze. That's actually kind of fun to see.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a deviation away from what we oftentimes see in pick here. But now that we're looking at our second map, there's of course a lot on the line for Washed Up. We alluded to it earlier. This is a best of 3 series. You lose here and you are out. So it's highly important that they're not making any mistakes that could be exploited early and allow momentum to be built up for Last Dance. I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind a third map.
Oh,
the caliber of games that we're seeing here is pretty epic. But obviously, Last Dance, they would love to avoid that, just to make sure that they don't have to go through that many games in their attempt to make the grand final happen.
Less games, the better. Less late the games will go, meaning they'll be well rested and ready to play. As we do see Breeze try to bully Nick. Nick's not going to be able to get combos onto him yet, as camps are mirrored for both teams. Get already picking those up for that push in the bottom lane. The classic Deathwing versus Rexxar top lane. Deathwing, potentially one of the few heroes outside of Chen who can really just sustain that top lane, but he's still in a situation where he can't double soak. He's in a situation where he's gonna have to hold the lane and then rotate onto the point.
Yeah, and well, top side, Misha's already taking it. Wooby on, honestly, Wooby on Deathwing now in this particular 1v1 is going to be super interesting to see how he is going to set this up and if he can have success here up at the top. But it's a little bit of an unfair battle that we have here. We have Misha, the bear, going up against the dragon. I mean, Rexxar, come on, you're better than that. That is animal abuse, if anything.
What do you mean unfair? Misha can take him, as we see Hungry Bear at level 4. Extra healing.
Misha is the midday snack to be if it goes to Deathwing, my friend. As much as I love her, but just look at the size of that thing.
It doesn't help. Misha can usually take pretty much anyone, especially with that Hungry Bear at level 4. But Dragon Soul on that level 1 for Deathwing. That 75% of damage done healing for Deathwing on his Incinerate basically means Misha cannot hang with the Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? So that's pretty much the thought process of Misha here. Just wait until... I mean, you can't even stumble the guy. It's like 4 legs. And if you do that, then he just starts flying. So it's a little bit of an unfair setup. I guess Misha can roll and makes up for it to do that. But either way, it's a little bit of a weird 1v1. The game, on the other hand, is focusing a bit more on the bottom of the map where the camp was taken. So those bruisers are starting to push the bottom wall in. We have so far not a single kill, and both teams just eager to soak the experience here and just rotate a little bit around the shrines. But we have no double shrine play. Control for last dance, so more pressure in the middle where Diablo is currently holding the line for the team.
Dragon Soul forced to be used out again by Wobby as he's forced to dash away. Turns out he can take on Misha, but he can't take on an entire team. Big stun onto Poik there. He doesn't get caught out, though. We could have seen Masquerade quick pick Malevolence there for the extra damage, but there was no way he would have got the kill. He's going to pick up the Diabolical Momentum, and that's very sensible because he needs to have those stuns off cooldown all the time for when Tracer steps out of position.
Yeah, Nick at the bottom of the map trying to reclaim the shrine, or at least take it down, but that didn't really work for him. But you can really tell how both of the teams are fully aware that momentum can build up so easily with the lineups that they're playing, and nobody is willing to just step out of order for a moment. So there's no kill yet. 4 minutes in. Both of the teams still waiting to see if they can maybe sneak a Dragon Knight in, get a gank set up somewhere, maybe play around one of the mercenary camps, as both teams are focusing on Siege Giants again. And of course, Masquerade, as we just saw, could get that stun connected to the target, and there's a follow-up. They might have a chance there, but in this case, Breeze moves out. He rotates down to the bottom, since the double shrine control has been denied, and that's what they can do. Tracer play, but Poik is fine.
Deathwing's finally managed to move himself onto the point, trying to hold. He's actually at half health. He has been bullied quite a bit because Rexxar's joined Banana Rage. He chases down, he's punching Tracer, but he cannot land the final hit to finish Poik off. But that is the power of Karazim versus Tracer. And did we just see Deathwing lose?
Deathwing, I mean, again, Deathwing is just not able to split himself as much as Rexxar. So if you really want to try and hold both, you have to expose yourself to a lot of damage, and eventually that's going to add up.
All right, well.
Level 10, nearly in.
Breeze jumps away, doesn't want to get himself killed off. Nick, with now reinforcements, keeps the pressure on. And yeah, well, Rexxar reclaims top, and suddenly Deathwing, Wobby, is starting to be spread very thin. Like you say, he's losing XP every time he has to move up here and deal with this darn bear.
Yeah, you can't... Oh, there is the first blood. Nice. Poik is down. That could theoretically be the first objective. And yep, it will be a Dragon Knight. Nicely done. Booby was trying to reclaim top, but Rexxar moved in immediately. Dragon Knight number 1 in play. 4 washed up as they move through the middle.
Lots of pressure being applied here as level 10 is now finally available for the last dance to even this up. Sanctification, we are going to see the bellowing roar coming out from Wobby, knowing he may be needed in these team fights to keep his team alive. No surprise, the Archon coming in. I miss Black Hole, but it's not going to happen in this case. But we do have a talent we don't see too often here. Twilight Dream coming in for Xaylia.
Yeah, so right now, top side, Wooby chasing Misha down, trying to exact revenge here. Didn't work out for him. The Dragonite is still active. That's what a real dragon looks like. Deathwing is just jealous that he doesn't have an axe as well. Which I can totally understand, by the way. I mean, if you're a big-ass dragon, I would want an axe too. It's like, look at that guy. Why can he carry an axe? The guy even has a shield sometimes. It's like, come on, dude.
Oh,
that's the kill! Nice!
There goes Tyrael. Nick just dropped to half health by the trait, but nice kill. That's 2 kills to 0. Oh man, I really love that idea of Deathwing just being super petty about the Dragonite. Welcome, Z gets thumbs. I can't hold an axe.
You know that he's going to be pissed. Deathwing is a bit of a weird one. No, but coming back to the top side, there's a reason why we are calling Rexa the king of Dragonshire. You are one of the few, if not the only hero that can hold both points at the same time. If you have mobility on a hero like Urel, you can at least jump over the debris and then enter the shrine. But if you are a hero like Deathwing or anyone else, you have eventually to make a decision. Do you go for lane experience or do you go for the objective? You can't have both. Unless, of course, you have a team that continuously sends someone topside to help you out and rotates in. But if they do that, that means that they lose more momentum and presence on other points of the map that can be exploited then. So this is the big advantage of playing Rexa on this map, which is the exact reason why here, and only here, Rexa in this tournament was first picked.
Dayquaza going to bully Wobby off. Nick delays the camp for as long as he can. Finally going to pick that up as he's required to rotate and help his team out here. They're going to have another camp on the way and a minion wave a bit behind, which will give the Last Dance time to clean up this mercenary camp. And as such, they're probably going to hit level 13 before we see the next brawl between the teams.
Alright, so middle of the map now as they're starting to push through. We have, for now, the fountain taken out. One of the best things that you can snipe. If you don't have a big opening, don't go for the fort itself. Just take the fountain down. Make sure that your opponent doesn't have any chance to tap before they enter into a fight. So this one eliminated any battle around the Dragonite statue in particular. Could be an advantage for them. There's already a bomb. Chrysalis, nice. Already used. Banana H was jumping in as well to try and help them out here. But with 2 kills against 0, nearly a level lead. Washed Up is looking at a small but pretty solid advantage for this map.
Chris continuing to wave clear, something that Tassadar is very, very good at. Poik just short of crashing into the wall. Masquerade might have been able to turn that into something if they'd landed it, but no such luck. As Haswops harasses them down, they're going to try and control bot lane, because guess what? Misha's still winning top lane, even more so now that they have that Dire Beast. Apoc burned, and Breeze times his return to his sword perfectly to not get caught in that.
Yeah, at this point you can see that Wooby is just falling back here. It's a tricky setup for him. And Dayquaza can now just simply move back, push the lane out. Misha's still holding this. Wooby's trying to put some pressure on Dayquaza himself. But the entire 1 versus 1 is not going well for Wooby here right now. Especially now that we have more and more talents in. So down to the bottom of the map, of course, there's also still the chance of Banana H coming in as they are claiming or trying to claim that shrine so that they can put pressure into the middle of the map. But this time the 4-man is super, super strong here. So that works out for them quite nicely.
Wobby just burned Cataclysm, lost half his health, and then had to walk all the way back to the keep to even grab a fountain. He is having a shocker right now as Misha is out damaging him here and forcing him off the points. Chris drops quite a bit of health though. The pressure from Washed Up continuing to pile on, and finally it looks like Wobby's going to be able to grab that top shrine here. And that will probably give him some time to fly up as well and restore his armor plates, which is exactly what he does.
Yeah, Dayquaza moved back with Rexa because they were trying to get the kill against Xaylia that they couldn't get. It was also a nice move earlier to sneak the fountain topside, so that's really, really good to deny top lane sustain for the red team. Malfurion picked off, good kill. Just as we have topside, Misha starting to reclaim the shrine again. 3 kills against 0. Washed Up doing work here. The Apocalypse, on the other hand, that was a bit unlucky. Masquerade trying to go for a combo, but just as he presses his R button, he's not in range of the targets anymore, and therefore the entire ult goes to waste.
Feign Death. Uh-oh. Lots of resist. It's going to be a 7-sided and a beautiful prediction from Hasu. And they're going to pick up Wubby, grab the shrine. And that is a massively solid gank from Washed Up, which continues to extend their lead as they're going to hit level 17.
Yeah, so now we have 4 kills to 0, 17 is in, still no level 16 talents, Deathwing is down, and yeah, this could very well be another Dragon Knight now. Of course, Reese is trying to deny this. The problem is that he is pretty far out, and if that stun connects, he jukes out everything. Sanks up as well. Yeah, he needs to avoid dying here, but of course now the mid lane is completely open, and they can easily get that Dragon Knight now.
It's a super rough cooldown to burn, but very understandable. Poik trying to deal with Misha, unable to stop this second Dragon Knight going over to Washed Up as they come back for the fort. Nice dodge by Masquerade there. Able to dodge the percentage damage from that Thermal Lance on Tassadar and forces Chris back into the base while he comes down to defend this bot lane. You saw that cleansing touch from Banana Rage onto Nick, making sure there was no follow-up.
Yeah, good damage in the middle. Can't take the fort down just yet. 16 versus 16 talents, just at least now. The problem is really that once that the red team is able to get a couple of kills in, then it can quickly start to flip against them. Against Washed Up, that is. For now, they are playing a very solid game. They really play tight. They're not opening themselves up to any mistakes. We talked a bit during the draft with the mobility and the aggression that comes out of that front line, how Hasu is fairly safe in the back line with his Reyna, and so far he was never really under pressure. Here comes the attack though. Nick might be in trouble. Apocalypse is coming out as they're going straight in for the kill. The first one to fall on the other hand might just be Chris. Tassadar is down. There's the wall stun from Diablo as he locks Tracer down, and the cavalry is gone. Tracer dead. That's 2 more kills for the blue team. Washed Up with 6 kills to 0 and even more control in the game.
It looked promising for a second. Chris got a beautiful flank and a massive Thermal Lance with that Shockray to do huge damage numbers. And then it was immediately shut down by the power of Nick on that Kerrigan, able to drop a 3-man stun. And finally, Masquerade was able to land an actual Apocalypse, and they were able to pick up the kills. And now they're going to grab themselves another fort, and Washed Up continue to hold really good control over this game and creep themselves towards those Storm tier talents.
Down to the bottom of the map, Nick now getting them another camp that could help them to control the bot lane a bit further. It's pretty much a time trade, so he trades the time where opponents are dead and the rest of the team is pushing to take the camp, and now there has to be a defense set up bot side from the opponent, which allows them to go for their own camp first at the top left, maybe rotate towards the top and take the fort down, or at least set a trap up over there as well. And Diablo is actually doing exactly that. So Masquerade is sitting at the side, watching to see if there's maybe a rotation coming his way. And if so, he could get that wall stun. Now they're already getting super aggressive here. They, of course, want the fort, but if anybody would move in now and try to defend it, Masquerade could lock him down. Doesn't really come to it, but that allows them to get an easy camp. And there is the attempt at a kill. 1 stun, 2 stun. They're trying to go for Xaylia. Body blocking is there too. Wall is out. Xaylia still getting body blocked. Nick jumps in and Nick gets the kill. Wasn't in the sanctification. The combo, the double, the triple. 3 kills and Chris on the run. Washed Up is chasing them off the map.
He has to drop the Archon to live, like you say. Xaylia standing with just his pinky toe next to the sanctification, but it did not land on him, and he just gets picked off by Nick, finding the right target. And with that, it's going to be Dragon Knight for Washed Up with level 20, full level and a bit away for the last dance. They're going to have everyone up for most of the defense, at least the core part of the defense. But this is looking like it might be over, Khaldor. This is going to be a 15-minute Dragon Knight with all 5 available. Heroics mostly on cooldown, though, so there is that part of hope.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky now to defend here. The keep is going to fall for sure. They might be able to defend at least the core, but as you said, level 20 talent is ready. They need to poke, and they need to poke quickly in order to take that Dragon Knight down. But I don't really think that it's going to be a core approach unless they're getting kills. So that keep, of course, is toast, but you can see how the Dragon Knight is falling very, very quickly as well. So now it's all about, can they get a kill with it, and can the Dragon Knight maybe been taken out after all. There's a potential kill against Misha. That's the first good move to stop that push, and they're trying to go for the second kill. Dragon Knight is about to be eliminated, and the keep is gone, but the core holds the defense ready for last dance.
Gorgeous Cataclysm by Wubby there. He, for starters, cuts the Dragon Knight off from the core, gives his team a chance to hold it, and more importantly, they blow up Misha. Like you said, it's not a full kill, but removing that stun potential removes just one more engage tool for Washed Up. And by this point, Dragon Knight's too low for them to risk continuing into a 5v5. They let it go. However, they still have control over literally everything, and they just grab the Bruiser Camp and move in with the Hellgate. Gonna try and blow up Tyrael. There's seven-sided. Tyrael is gonna make it out, and it's Diablo who's killed off. No such chance for Deathwing, though, who is deleted.
Yeah, Deadwing in game once more. Misha falls again. She'll be back. But still, this is the first kill for them.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
One kill on the board, finally. It's the beginning of the end of Washed Up. Just you wait. The comeback was initiated just a second ago as Diablo falls. No, but all jokes aside, Tacita has more stacks now. He's sitting at 190, so that late game damage is going to be much better for Chris. We have 16 stacks for Malfurion on his level 4. And they're fighting back. They're losing a lot of ground, but the game isn't over yet. Nick with another attempt to follow up on the kills, though. Yeah, they're pretty sick, honestly. It's Masquerade plus Nick now. They have so many opportunities here to get good stuns and double stuns in, and they are playing hyper-aggressive.
Yeah, like you said, they are playing hyper-aggressive because they're trying to defend everything and put themselves back in the game. They got rid of Masquerade's souls, and that is a huge deal. Masquerade only up to 23, so even though it's only 10 to 1 kill, that kill was more likely worth 6.5 kills, making it 6.5 to 10 right now. As the last dance move in for the defense, they're going to clear out the Siege Giants, and that's going to give them a little bit of relief, especially as there's a Bruiser Camp coming in.
Bot lane, 20 versus 20 right now. Bot lane camp is coming in. They have the Siege Giants at least. Breeze playing around it once again. 200,000 siege damage by now for Tacita. By the way, Misha and Rexa have 127,000 siege damage as well. So they have really put a number on the top lane for sure. But in comes to push through the bottom of the map right now. And Deathwing is holding on to one shrine. And again, pushing the bot lane in particular is of course important because this is the lane where they lost the keep. So if they can just simply take the fort out, that would already limit the pressure a little bit more that is established through minions at the bottom of the map. And that would give them more time. But you have an immediate rotation of the blue team into the middle, which is saying, hey, if you are willing to trade structures, we are more than happy to take that keep in the middle. Thank you very much. And are they counter pushing? I mean, Chris is there, rest of the team is jumping back. Zalia and Chris are finally also committing to the Hearthstone, but the keep is obviously gone.
Yeah, they understand that the keep is gone, that they didn't port in time, and it would have been a rough defense anyway. So Chris, who's still there, has stayed a very long time. Zalia is also not in a good spot. There's the Apocalypse, and they know exactly where he is. Chris is way out of position. This is a disaster. Chris is gonna be focused down here and killed off. He massively overstays here, and here comes the kill command. Breeze blinks it. Beautifully done with that Might of El Druid as they're gonna pull back as Wubby is getting eaten, and I think this just might have been the throw.
Yeah, topside keep is also going to get tagged. This is a bit of an issue. Down here, though, Zalia falls. That's a kill against Malfurion, and they follow it up with a kill against Deathwing. He's dead again. Sanctification is on the ground now, so they're looking for more, and they will get more. Kerrigan is a bit low, but Nick just does not care. He's still alive. Breeze is running.
He comes. He wants it
back, and Nick is just following it up, and Breeze is like, help, team! Everybody's
Get him! Shield! The shield absorbs it. They head for the core. Catapult's already there, and that is going to be it. And Khaldor, we're going to be heading to a game number 3.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get that third game, and it's going to be pretty epic. So the core gets attacked. Nice moves from Washed Up. Very dominant performance, especially around the objective. The Rexa first pick helping a lot here. And that's GG as Washed Up locks in Dragonshire. Game number 3, Washed Up, ladies and gentlemen, against Last Dance. It is Tomb of the Spider Queen. Yevla Spindle would have hated to play here, but these two teams are quite happy that they can now play on a smaller map with quicker rotations and even more action, or at least we are happy because it means we are going to see more team fights. But after this last clash, Last Dance have to step it up a little bit because on the last map they were a little bit outplayed. But I'm pretty sure they're gonna change the draft, and we already have very different ban patterns coming into game number 3 now.
Yeah, Junkrat coming in here, and we do know exactly how good Hasu is on this hero. So it's a very sensible ban, Junkrat on this map. It's a very thin map, as Khaldor mentioned earlier, meaning multi-lane rotations are exceptionally valuable, and Junkrat's wave clear, plus his map rotational ability, means he is incredibly scary to deal with. So the last dance, ban it away, don't want to deal with it. And washed up, the respect ban, and of course she is one of the top heroes right now. They remove Yorel.
Now, when it comes to the other heroes that could still make an appearance in the bans, Imperius has been very high import. Yeah, well, there it is. Okay, can save the rest of the speech here. Imperius is out for good reason. So now we come to the last ban before we're heading into our picks, and that's on the side of Washed Up now. What do you get rid of on the opponent side? Are you maybe even afraid of the Tracer setup with Malfurion again? I suppose not really. So far they played really well around it. But let's see what we're going to get banned out by them. ETC again. Plenty of options, but ETC gets eliminated. Fair enough.
Respect ban against Breeze. Johanna is still available, but she's had not the most amount of success so far in these series. So we'll see if anyone does pick her up early on. We still have Greymane available. Greymane available, Ana available, the Tracer Malfurion combo, Ana Li Ming. There's a lot of options on this map.
Yeah, first pick. Let's see. So we have this time Johanna taken right away for Breeze. It means that for the rotation between the middle and the top, traditional setup, they already add a lot of wave clear to that. I mean, it's not only for the early game rotations, even when those night camps are taken or just throughout the entire game, you have really good wave clear. And Johanna brings a lot more to the table than this. Just the flashlight alone can easily interrupt a channel on the objective, and that is worth a lot. If you have a ton of interrupts available on your side, then you can make it a living hell for the opponent's team to turn in. But that Johanna pick also means that we have a very, very strong opening on the damage side for Washed Up, Cassia and Tacita. That looks a little bit terrifying after what we've seen in the tournament so far.
It really does. That is, for starters, a Bloodlust composition's dream. So we might actually have to see the Rhaegar banned out for the first time in this series by the last dance. For the starters, do they want to go for it? They don't. They go for Ana Rexxar. They don't go for Tracer Malfurion. So they leave that on the board. And now the question is, what do they go for ban-wise? Because suddenly, there is this incredibly scary poke and rush-down composition for Washed Up, who have drafted potentially their most aggressive composition yet.
Yeah, it's a bit terrifying out of the gate already. Banana doesn't get his Ana, which is a little bit sad, but understandable. Jaina gets banned, so that when it comes to nano boost, at least that burst damage isn't available. But of course, there's plenty of other mages that would still fit the composition here. If you want to look for that reset setup, then Li Ming is strong. I mean, we have seen Chromie played multiple times by Chris throughout the tournament, so another option for them for sure. And then expand coming in with supports that can be banned out, and of course also the side laners, but it's a support as expected. Rhaegar gets eliminated by Last Dance as we have the next double pick coming in for Washed Up, who now have to focus on their front line a little bit more.
They do. They need their healer, and they need their offlane, and they need their tank. And with Johanna on the board, this could still be a Garrosh game, but Garrosh falls a little further down the board here. Johanna is the best tank to deal with Garrosh. So we'll see where their priority leans from there. They still have plenty of other options. And in terms of offlane, they're against a Rexxar, Malthael, and Leoric jump up in priority. They're going to lean on the Tyrael once again. It worked very well for them in game number 2. Let's see if they can pull off a second win. And of course, that double protection with Malfurion heals and Tyrael shields on both Cassia and Tacita is going to be really good value.
Also, having the Tyrael here, that already screams Blaze. Now, there's other offlaners, of course, too. I mean, Leo has good wave clear, might not be the best in this particular combo, but if you see a setup like this, Blaze is usually the go-to pick that you're looking at. There's other options, as I said, but if you want to have a bit more survivability, then he's really the one to be taken. As expected, the Li Ming pick with Ana, the early support. So the nano boost with Li Ming. So reset potential is ready. We got Chris again on Phoenix, and now Quasar has to really make that final choice here. With Tyrael, the 2 layers of defense with the Sanctification and Bunker, that would be a really solid choice. And there it is. I mean, again, that was more or less telegraphed already. 2 in the Spider Queen, everybody. Game number 3. Let's jump in and find out which team advances to the next round of the tournament and which team will have to pack their bags and leave the tournament. Method Mayhem monthly final.
New habits for Blaze basically makes him the hard engage tool without putting too much risk on the board. Charge strikes for Cassia, no poke build. This is aggression that they are trying to drop in here. However, as already mentioned, they're going to have to play around Johanna. They're going to have to play around Rexar. Johanna with Hold Your Ground, that will turn to Fanaticism later on, which Tassadar has to be super careful with, because if he lands his Psystorm in the wrong opportunity, Johanna can just walk through that with Fanaticism and get a massive speed boost and run into your team.
All right, yeah, with the speed boost and everything, like the engages in general are something that have to be coordinated from the teams, and we've seen this in the previous matches that between the two, that they are fantastic when it comes to that team fight coordination and communicating the targets well. So this could definitely happen here too. And we have on the one hand Johanna with the engages, Blessed Shield, just to name one. Also, of course, the follow-up stun for Misha. But then again, you look towards the other side, and there's always that jet propulsion from Blaze. And in the later stage of the game, when you have those more stacked up team fights in 5 versus 5, if you get a multi-stun in, that is always terrifying, especially if your Malfurion is playing on point and has a root on the ground right after. So that would also be the perfect setup, of course, for Nick on his Cassia. There's a lot really going on here, and it's going to be awesome. I love that we have a third map. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be great. 3 map up between these two teams are always exciting.
Wouldn't have had it any other way. If we don't get the grand final between these two, we are going to eke every second out of this series as Dayquaza holds. Camp being started by the last dance, as Washed Up are going to trade it for Siege Giant. They bring down 3 members to try and take that. Misha sees it. What's she going to do, though? Absolutely nothing. Just scouts it and heads back into the lane where she's just going to be able to keep farming.
Yeah, this is a very heavy commitment. Normally you have one hero trying to, sneak off vision towards the camp, and then at some point the team has to call, hey, I haven't seen that guy for the last 15, 20 seconds, and then someone moves down and double checks. But they are committing to this with 3 heroes, so they can lock it in, and that's an early lead. Now, there's obviously then the difference between the night camps, as you pointed out, so you have one night camp already in play, but it also means at the same time that Washed Up can use theirs just a bit later. But that's early damage on the wall and could help you with the first objective once that we see the teams getting some gems turned in the middle of the map.
Level 4 is available for both teams. Pretty standard across the board here. Sin's exposed as Dayquaza is in trouble, gets the charge. Here's Banana Rage, and with Banana Rage's root, unless Poik can thread the needle here, Dayquaza is going to be able to escape. Good job, Washed Up, protecting that Blaze there, preventing resets, and they will hold. Nick very nearly makes me a liar, but he will make it back and be able to port back to base.
No deaths just yet on level 4, as also we've seen now multiple times, Plate of the Whale. Interesting, I guess, that dominance has been taken again for Li Ming. We talked a bit how Trump for it these days is for a lot of the players the standard pick by now for Li Ming, but we also highlighted how you can pretty much take every single talent on level 4 these days, depending on your personal playstyle and the map and situation concerning your team composition. So in this case, going a little bit more for the survivability, can play a bit more aggressive around that Calamity play, and Poik can definitely pop up during one of these team fights, unless of course he's a bit nervous.
We're gonna see Wobby slowing Dayquaza, trying to body block with Misha, but Chris doesn't have the DPS yet, not able to finish the job. As Misha is actually forced back quite a way. Can Masquerade interrupt Wobby? No, Wobby will actually get his 15 gems in, despite the attempt of the interrupt from Cassia.
Yeah, so now we have 10 to 41 turned in, which means that it is a bit of a lead for the red team. If you have early game control that allows you to turn in that easily, that just secures more gems for you, and it's a really nice position to be in. Because even if you suffer deaths at the hand of your opponent, as long as you don't lose any gems, you're in a decent spot here. And I mean, Breeze is even moving in now to make sure that he gets another interrupt, this time with the Condemn. Dayquaza is finally able to at least turn in. That puts them into a point where they have 43. So it's interesting that Last Dance hasn't been able to complete their own turn in yet, but both teams have plenty to make sure that they get the first rep, because it's just a question of whether or not you can access the turning point.
No Swift Retribution this time, which would have worked quite well with Cassia, but apparently she will not need it with that War Traveler. Instead, we see Reciprocate coming in for Tyrael, adding a little bit more burst damage to the composition. Maybe for when he dives, trying to get onto point. Combine that with Bound by Law, going to make it very hard for people to escape from him. Stun on Dayquaza. Holds though, able to dash away with the jet propulsion, keeps himself safe as Masquerade. He's going to bully Breeze. Breeze is playing his own game right now. Everyone else is just continuously rotating while Breeze is playing clutch defense, desperately trying to stop those last couple gems from making their way in.
Yeah, Breeze. Breeze always anchoring there. It's always providing the vision, anchoring for the rest of the team, gets sniffed out, and then moves straight into the lane to take at least the minions down. So it's another 9 gems. But you're 5 minutes in and we haven't seen it turn in yet. They're working on it at the bottom of the map now. But so far hasn't really happened, and level 10 is only 1.5 levels away before we're seeing then the heroics in play. And there it is, the blue team completing it, and therefore the Web Weaver is going to come down and push against Last Dance.
Everyone from Last Dance is up though. They're safe right now. They're in a position where they're going to be able to try and set up this defense as best they can. Misha's back, double stun. So how are they going to be able to, how effective will this defense be? And majority of the focus is going to be on that middle lane for the defense, but the offense is prioritized on bottom lane. Washed up. They're trying to set themselves up for potential siege giant pressure later on. Reciprocate doing some good damage to the tower there. Misha, another stun. Tower damage is good. Misha dies, but Breeze in the backline is going to pick off the Cassia.
Nick actually just disappeared. Like, his hit point pool was Houdini'd within a second as Poi came in with the damage. And then Breeze, of course, with the finishing touches over here. So that's great for the defense, taking Cassia down. The wall has still fallen. That includes the fountain that has been eliminated. Now, Phoenix topside has also lost the wall. So, yeah, they were able to shut it down. But honestly, it's not really a horrible push. You didn't get a fort, but they got 2 walls. They got the fountain as well. So that's still pretty okay for the first Web Weaver wave.
Level 10's now available for both teams. There's that Valkyrie, no ball lightning this time. He wants to get those picks, especially on people like Li Ming and maybe even Rexa. Skip that bear entirely, bring over the Orc Ogre hybrid, as we see. Level 10's available. Channel was attempted by Breeze, but there's a lot of harassment coming in as everyone is grouped around this bottom turning point.
Yeah, Breeze again with the shield here. Always playing around the Iron Skin. He's still sitting at 22 gems. The 10 abilities now for both teams, of course, ready. And still the attempt to turn in here once again. Especially, of course, Whoopi with the 21 and Breeze. Those are the 2 that we can focus on. But with the camp now taken on the right side of the map, once that pushes through it, will give a bit more control over the middle of the map. And then once you have that mid lane control, you can open both turn-in points up a bit more. The bottom of the map, the attempt to maybe steal it away, but Misha was just like, maybe next time.
Yep, Misha backs away, not going to take the risk here, and finally, Breeze will get his turn in, and this is the Last Dance's attempt for the counter push. Level 10's available for both teams, no level 13's around the corner here. Mercenary camp in the mid lane is doing some good value. Rexa is cleaning up beautifully in the bottom lane, so Wobby's not going to have to worry about that. This is just a solid setup. Actually, he's not going to finish that. Hopefully minions will be able to. So let's see what they can get. No force taken down for either teams yet. Let's see if the Last Dance can make a play with this.
Yeah, this is the moment where you try to set yourself up for a push onto Fort in the mid lane in particular. Thanks to the camps that they took previously, they have pretty much destroyed the wall already. So now you want to take that lead. And if they can bridge that level gap that they need for level 13, a talent advantage would also be ready. But the defense is just there, and Nick is making that Web Weaver wave disappear within seconds. Now, topside, that's a bit of a different story. This one is pushing in aggressively to destroy the fountain, and the rest of the red team is now moving in as well. But they're still not able to get too much done here, so washed up with those 2 damage dealers, with Hazu and Tassadar, and Nick and Cassia are doing a great job of shutting this down early on.
Minimap-wise, it's almost identical, but reversed, with top fort being traded health-wise for bottom fort, both surviving on almost the exact same. But the experience lead for the Last Dance does show up here as they hit level 13 first. and begin picking up those talents. We're going to be seeing rapid recharge for the Phoenix here, turning healing into shielding, which is going to help out once Ana gets that active reload. Ana probably going to be going with the smelling salts, or maybe the root removal for Malfurion. Nope, going to stick with smelling salts, and wow, chain turn-ins coming in for the last dance.
Yeah, and I kind of like what we just saw with the Nature's Cure, immediately used as Masquerade, was just stunned out for a moment because he holds 37 gems. Oh, the Blessed Shield misses him, but hits the fort and then bounces the structures onto him, but they still can't kill him. So now Masquerade is jumping in, they're getting aggressive here. The wall is down, but doesn't do enough. They're barely able to get Misha down. So nice kill, but still. Good push back, forces a move to the fountain, which allows for defense against the Web Weaver again. But with all of these gems in their hands on Washed Up, they are playing a dangerous game here. If they lose Masquerade, for example, that's 40 gems. That's a ticket back into the game. They can't lose it.
They really have to be careful here, like you say. They're going to play a bit further back. And Nick, with 10 gems of his own, has also not gone for War Traveler, by the way. He's gone for the Gloves of Alacrity. Now, these two talents are very much interchangeable in terms of those level 4s, but this one allows him to stay at range a lot safer. When he has full avoidance, a bonus 2 to his basic attack range, which is absolutely beautiful. And when it's not stacked, a bonus 1. This allows him to stay at range, whereas War Traveler makes him run in and get more multi-man Surge of Lights.
Cassia is just playing it careful here. I mean, again, in times of Corona, you want to be cautious, so always have some gloves ready. And Nick is just reflecting this with this build here too, so I can totally appreciate that. So good choice from Cassia here. Better safe than sorry. It's my motto. But as Cassia is moving into the bot lane, they might be able to get Poik here, and he has 22 gems, tries to go away, and, well, that's a kill. Misha comes in and gets at least the gem, so there's that. But now Breeze blocked. Oh, Breezy gets nano boost and he gets out. Are you kidding me?
Oh, but Adoration nearly gets finished off with a salvo as well. But yeah, I'm trying to actually work out why the nano boost came onto Breeze there. His Iron Skin was already used, I think. I figured they were trying to get the buff onto that, but either way, he lives. So good for him. He's going to get out of there.
Blue Web Weavers, wow, 2 kills against 1, so now we have the objective for Washed Up, but holy hell. Oh my god. And the bottom fort is already about to fall as well, so yep, there is that. Yeah, that escape. Like, seriously, it's crazy. And Breeze was able to get away. It's just incredible. After they were trying to block him here with bunker and everything, it really looked like he would fall. That's a lot of gems. I mean, initially they lost 1 hero and then Misha recovered the gems. There's the turn-in. And let's not forget, with all of the gems that they have, even after this turn-in is over, they can go into another one right away. So Washed Up has a lot of momentum potentially in their hands now.
Web Weaver makes its way in. It does get trolled quite a bit by that one Bruiser Camp mercenary. Meaning the... Oh, nice sleep dart. Valkyrie, uh-oh, Iron Skin's expired. Healing Dart comes out. Ana trying to keep Breeze alive. Cannot do so. The balls come out. Everyone's a bit slow now, but in the meantime, the push continues.
Yeah, they recovered the gems after Breeze has fallen, but of course that means that they don't still have a tank here. And therefore, they won't be able to make any big moves to defend all of this. And we have a move for Boss with another 20 seconds until Johanna is back. Pretty much no way to stop this play, unless, of course, Poik is popping off and gets multi-kills in. But he looked a little bit nervous earlier, so I'm not quite sure if he can actually make that move now.
They're still trying. They're still going to try and harass him. Misha getting healed up. Poik is not looking nervous anymore. He moves in aggressively. Are they really going to try and do this? They nano boost Poik. Misha on the point. There's the salvo. But Boss is taken. Nano boost just going to expire out. And they don't pick off anybody here. Wobby does get hit by the Great Shock Ray. And suddenly, Poik and Wobby don't look in the best position. Breeze going to wind skin through though. As he draws the aggro, everyone else gets out.
Yeah, and 85 gems. Masquerade is already delivering 49. And, well, that is going to be another Web Weaver wave. 3 kills against 1. Washed Up, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, again, think about these two teams. The first weekly tournament, Washed Up was able to win the final against Last Dance. And then in the consecutive 2, Last Dance wrecked them. Won both of the best of 5s with the 3-1. And we always said that it's going to be important who is able to win the monthly final, who's going to be able to win the duel in the monthly final tournament. And right now, Washed Up, they might not have won it, but they are definitely taking a lead here, and they are the ones currently calling the shots in this game. So Last Dance, with all the amazing plays that we've seen from them in this tournament and in the previous weekly ones, right now, in this particular match, which is a do-or-die setup, they are starting to struggle against their opponents in blue.
Down goes the Web Weaver. They're still holding, as long as those keeps are alive, though. Like you say, even though they're struggling, as long as those keeps are alive, they don't have much to worry about. They're going to be able to hold for now and just wait this out. If they can pick anyone off and Misha can get a good stun, they might be able to get some turnaround, some comeback XP. But right now, the priority is stabilize and wait. As we see Last Dance make their way to bot lane, final lane to defend. Again, Washed Up are here with this, but they don't really have a hard engage. Everyone's behind the gate, so Dayquaza can't land their big stun. Valkyrie is their chance, but a lovely, lovely little spell exalts there by Cassia to save the day.
Yeah, Misha also survives, and, well, right now, the minimap really tells it all. It's really the position in the middle of the map that is very difficult for Last Dance, because both of these turn-in points are far away from any fountain or keep, so it's tricky for them to fall back if they're starting to lose momentum in the fight. Good dodge on most of the salvo damage with the bunker here, a couple of them hitting it a bit late, but the main target was able to escape. Now, to be fair, when it comes to the structural position, there isn't a fountain available in the middle or at the top lane for Washed Up either, but they can at least fall back to that fort when the shit hits the fan. So that allows them to play this a bit more aggressive around these turning points. That allows them to have a bit of a more dominant position in the middle of the map now, especially with the lanes that will now push through catapults occasionally. But one team fight can, of course, change that. One turn-in. And you look at gems, and it's 125 gems for Last Dance. That's a ton.
It's exactly enough for 2 turn-ins right now, if they can get it, as they want to be able to try and move forward. Like you say, all they need is one team fight to turn it round, and they have now some of those talents that will help them. With level 16, of course, that Feign Death is going to allow Rexar to bait. Fanaticism, as we already mentioned, allows Breeze to hard engage, and they really want to fight before that level 20 ticks in for Washed Up. Breeze in trouble. Valkyrie hits no one. They're going on for Dayquaza here, but their shield was good, but Dayquaza's out.
And Dayquaza is out, able to jet propulsion out of harm's way. Whoopi turns in, 55 gems, and he is able to deliver every single one of them. Of course, allows him also to play a bit more aggressive now without being afraid of losing their ticket back into this. Half a level until 20 on the other hand, so that's another problem that Last Dance has to deal with. A Storm talent advantage, soon TM for the blue team.
Xaylia getting pressure, but no one's in position to follow it up. Now, can they get Masquerade? No. Misha tries to drop the stun, but the Sword of Justice gets Masquerade out of there. Chris needs to wait for his shield to regen back up, and it is doing so very quickly here. They have still enough gems for a turn, which is still still a little bit away for Washed Up, as they're just currently holding the point. But more importantly, Washed Up have those level 20s. They're going to be able to put even more pressure onto this middle keep there, which may be the first keep loss of the game, because we're not going to see Last Dance wanting to fight this.
I mean, even taking the fountains down is already a big step. Because if you take the fountains on pretty much every lane down, and top and mid lane have now been eliminated, it means that you can only Hearthstone to the Nexus, and control over the middle is going to be even more difficult for them. Good lockdown over here, but it doesn't really amount to anything. Here comes another attempt at the Valkyrie. Jet propulsion comes through at the same moment in time, and that's a kill! The Sanctification is too late, and all of a sudden they're getting chased. It's 20 versus 20, and here comes the kill command.
Level 20 rooting balls, nano boost onto Point, but he can't keep up. Here comes the salvo. Breeze looks to try and push it, but he realizes he's at half health. He is still in a risky position. They're instead going to try and turn in, but the incredible delays from Hasselhoffs. That incredible laser beam is going to keep them held back. And right now, we do see Washed Up, even though they're a member down. They're still going to look for the wraparound here, and if that had landed from Hasselhoffs, if that shockwave had hit, they wouldn't be able to pick up that kill.
Now, they should be able to turn in or get boss, one of the two, maybe even both. But thanks to the forts that are still standing, it would not be a total game changer. Look, by the way, towards the middle of the map. Masquerade is pushing this out because he knows he has the mobility to escape, and that forces them back a bit. It's only Rexar up at the top as the boss. Now we have Xaylia moving in for it too, but they're pushing the lanes out as they can. And they bring Blaze back. Now, top boss taken, 19 minutes in, that's going to be a big step. But still, this is a defensible position. Red Web Weavers are coming in. Boss topside is now, of course, also revealed as a play. And off we go. Washed Up, they know what they're in for. Now they have to show that they can also defend this and hold on to their keeps.
Big push. The chance for Last Dance to bring themselves back into this. Every heroic except for Salvo is about to come off cooldown for the Last Dance. Washed Up 10 seconds away from Sanctification. They are going to be able to defend on this keep. The question is how much structure damage will be done and will the keep survive? The core is very unlikely to drop here unless we see a great pickup from the Last Dance, who just had their entire half their health pools eaten here by Hasuobs on that Tassadar. They keep reining in the pressure. Boss, half health. Webweaver, about the same. And looks like this keep will fall.
Yeah, keep goes down quickly. Keep goes down very, very quickly as they are bodying the boss. They are not going to be able to go for the core here, but just taking the top side keep down is going to be a huge play for them. And of course, that's not the only thing that falls here. The mid fort has fallen. At the bottom of the map, we're seeing the same thing happen. So now an advantage actually for Last Dance in this game. It's actually a game where we don't have a lot of kills. Even 20 minutes into it, we're only looking at 5 kills in total. Both teams have a turn in. 100 gems still for the team in red. 50 for Washed Up, in addition to the 24 that they already delivered earlier. And, well, there's now an opportunity for both of them to go for another Webweaver wave and potentially take a few more keeps down.
Chain's going to come in from the Last Dance, though. They try to get theirs in first and will succeed. They really want to try and keep this momentum that they finally have in their hands going. It's the Last Dance, last chance to make it to the Consolation Finals as Washed Up. They continue to siege. Twilight Archon, Hasu, altering everything. Here comes Breeze, multi-man condemn. Fanaticism gets him out of danger. A lot of pressure just came in, but they were trying to clear out the mercenary camp, so this Webweaver will push up further. Top Webweaver still going, hasn't even spawned yet. Rushes all the way to that minion wave, and that forces the reaction out of Washed Up, meaning now the Last Dance can push in mid lane.
Yeah, that one at the top is an easy defense. It's not going to be any problem. The issue is more so what happens around the keeps now. Bot lane is getting pushed, mid lane is getting pushed, and the situation has changed completely, which mirrors the games that we've seen in this entire series, just continuous back and forth. But it's really nice poke damage that we are now looking at from Washed Up, and they can take the Webweaver down very, very easily. There's still some pressure onto the keep, but it's not enough to really amount to anything. And at the bottom of the map, we have Dequaza already trying to deal with the final Webweaver of this particular push.
Tass is done, so he's able to finish Static Charge finally, which is so much damage. A maximum 250 bonus damage here on that Shockray. But like you say, the lanes are cleared. Washed Up have stabilized, and they now have enough gems for return. A very nice amount of gems, as we do see them trying to look for it. But first, they have to focus on clearing out top lane, because there are about to be 3 catapults moving in.
And of course, as catapults get stronger and stronger as time continues, that top lane will have more and more value. Now, there is a bit of an, I don't want to say an advantage, but there's at least the upside of it being the top lane that lost the key, because it would be the bottom of the map. Then you will eventually be forced into a decision between defending your lane or defending the boss. So that's not something that Washed Up will have to deal with here. So that helps a little bit, but you can see how aggressively we're seeing the red team now pushing the bot lane, really sieging up in an attempt to take that keep down.
They make their way in, they could siege, they have Li Ming. Chris able to actually do some poke. Misha gets a little bit of damage onto her. Masquerade, he's trying to find the angle. Look at where Zalia is positioned, though. He is the key to this due to the fact that he does have the smelling salts to remove stuns, like if someone gets caught by the Valkyrie. And if he isn't in a safe position like this, he can be caught. So he's just playing as far back as he possibly can, because he is the only one who 100% has to stay alive in these fights.
Yeah, and this keep is nearly down, and if you lose that bottom keep, as I explained earlier, then top boss becomes an even bigger problem.
Oh, really?
They're trying to go for the fight here. The Iron Skin is out. Here comes the kill command. They're trying to turn it. Wall is already deployed. Hazob's making sure that nothing happens. Valkyrie, then again, didn't connect with anything either. 82 gems are now available. Can they get the fight? Can they get the turn in? Which team will build up the momentum here? It could be that the final, that the next turn in, the next objective is the final one in this game, and they are poking as if their life depends on it. And to be fair, their tournament life actually does.
Both these teams are fishing for a victory right now, but it's going to be Washed Up who has to blink first, because their catapults are beginning to accumulate in that top lane. One will be cleaned out, but there's 2 on the way. But finally, Last Dance are actually going to be forced back here. The turn-in will happen for Washed Up, which means that top lane is no longer an issue. With kill command down, they decide it's not worth taking the fight where they won't be able to get that route out.
And now, of course, top lane is something that you're not going to focus on. Top lane will push out. The catapults are not going to be an issue there. You're not going to lose the core here. You're going to try and focus onto the keep in the middle and at the bottom of the map. And mid keep has to fall here. With the situation as is and the wall destroyed, the keep already taking a bit of damage in the earlier push, you have to take that mid keep. And you want to get more than that. You want to win a fight now. Here comes the Blast Shield though. Spreeze is trying to move in. The kill command is coming out as well as they're locking them into place. Masquerade is a little bit low, but nobody is panicking here. No ults being used yet on the side of the blue team outside of the Archon itself, and the keep is down. Washed Up. They're trying to push in. They're looking for an opportunity now to maybe even finish the game.
Nano Boost expired. Poik's damage isn't as high, but you can see the incredible sustain of this composition. They're moving forward, looking for their opportunity. Nick's a little bit out of position. He gets the Valkyrie, though. There it is. Indomitable Spirit does nothing as we see Chris taken out. The defensive position moved into the second keep. Using the keep to defend them. They are not defending the keep because the core is under attack. Poik gets hit by the Bound by Law. He is in trouble. Good condemn. That buys time and allows the core to actually get good damage. And that might be enough to hold here, but the pressure is still being applied. Shield is dropped. Bottom keep is going to fall. 40 seconds until Phoenix, and they're desperately trying to hold, but Hasu, he's too tanky here.
At the bottom of the map, the keep has fallen. Once again, the Blast Shield is coming out as they're trying to go for the kill here. And they get the double Cassia down. We have the kill against Blaze. That's Tacit eliminated. The core is falling, though. 30%. The catapults are coming in. They're taking aim. 12-10. And this is it. The game is over, and Washed Up wins the series against Last Dance and advances in the tournament.